She could have been everywhere, every ad, every red carpet, every radio hit. She had it all, the voice, the charisma, the intensity, and yet she chose to disappear from the center, slowly, deliberately. While most artists fight to stay relevant, Erykah Badu chose to step back. She didn't fall, she withdrew. And it's that rare kind of retreat that made her unforgettable. It's now 2025. 28 years after Baduizm, her cult debut album, she still captivates. But not because of what she reveals, because of what she protects. Her presence is both unsettling and soothing, because she follows no rules. She never played the game. She's always moved around it. Her real name is Erykah Abby Wright. She was born in Dallas, Texas in 1971, raised in a household led by women, a mother who was both a teacher and actress, and a grandmother steeped in spirituality, a home filled with jazz records and whispered prayers. From an early age, she understood that what truly matters isn't visible. Truth lives in feelings, in what can't be put into words. At 14, she became MC Apples. She rapped, she wrote, she danced. Even then, she sought alignment, not validation. She didn't want to impress, she wanted to express. Later, she enrolled at Grambling State University to study theater. But the inner calling was stronger. She left college, no regrets. Her path was never meant to be straight, and she knew it. Back then, the music industry was starting to streamline everything. Hip-hop was exploding. Labels were hunting for marketable personas. She refused to be molded. She didn't want to fit in. She wanted to resonate, to be a vibration, a voice that was lived, not engineered. And that demand, she never let it go. This wasn't branding. It was a life stance. From the start, she rejected spectacle. She sought spirit. Where others wanted to shine, she wanted to radiate from within. No fireworks. That invisible power made her impossible to box in. And that's exactly what drew people to her. Mystery became magnetic. February 1997, Baduizm drops, and the impact is instant.
I ain't thinking about you. I came to hear my drama play. Boom, clack.
Audiences discover a voice that feels timeless, a hypnotic, slow, inhabited atmosphere. In contrast to the flashy R&B scene, she set her own tempo. Not too fast, not too polished, just real. The album is a triumph, multi-platinum, multiple Grammy Awards. Critics compare her to Billie Holiday, Nina Simone. But she doesn't get swept up in the hype. She stays grounded, still, rooted. On stage, she sits cross-legged. She speaks about intuition, elevation, grounding. Far from provocation, far from marketing. Just a woman, a drum, some incense, and truth. She could have ridden that sudden wave of fame, dropped back-to-back albums, signed with brands, cashed in on deals. But she didn't. She slowed down, breathed, waited for silence to speak. In her early interviews, she was already firm. She didn't want fame. She wanted freedom. And that simple phrase redefined her entire path. Because you can't market an artist who refuses to be packaged. You can't contain a voice that refuses to conform. It wasn't a stance. It was a commitment. A choice she made before the world even knew her name. It wasn't a reaction to success. It was the condition for her artistic existence. She never bowed down. She always rose, and the more the industry tried to pull her in, the more she drifted away. She watched. She understood. Then she stepped aside. She saw what others refused to see. That fame is often a gilded cage, a distraction from what truly matters. She chose the center, the core, the inner truth. As the lights turned toward her, Erykah Badu chose the shadows, not out of fear, but out of conviction. While the industry offered more deals, more contracts, more expectations, she backed away. At every stage of her career, she asked the same question: does this respect my energy? And if the answer was no, she walked away, quietly, without drama, without explanation. The system had no idea what to do with her. How do you sell an artist who refuses to be a product? How do you format a woman who responds to no one but her intuition? She didn't want to control her image. She wanted to protect her frequency. And that made her unsettling, because she was radically free. She began speaking a language few understood. She spoke of frequencies, energy centers, vibrations. These weren't metaphors. This was her grammar. She rejected scripted interviews, kept her private life private, not to create mystique, but to remain whole, to keep her essence undiluted. Her refusal to explain her songs irritated many, but she didn't care, because to her, art isn't meant to be dissected. It's meant to be felt, and that can't be taught. It must be heard, welcomed. Around that time, a clip from one of her interviews began circulating. She compared fame to something sweet but dangerous, like sugar, a temptation that could poison if consumed unconsciously. The exact quote, "Fame is like sugar," was never officially confirmed, but the image stuck because it said everything. It wasn't success she was rejecting, it was addiction to visibility. This wasn't total rejection, it was discernment. She wanted to choose, to own her rhythm. That's why she created her own label, Control Freak Records, a name that sounds like a manifesto. She wasn't chasing the charts. She wanted to create without permission, release on her own tempo, show up when it felt right, disappear when it didn't. Her idea of an artistic career was never linear. She didn't operate on commercial cycles or digital strategies. She followed her own seasons, sometimes visible, sometimes underground, but always alive. While others amassed endorsements, product placements, media tours, Erykah Badu stayed grounded. She planted quiet seeds, seeds that made no noise, but moved deeply, slowly, spiritually. She became a gentle force of resistance, a quiet power. She didn't protest with slogans. She stood firm with coherence. She proved you could exist differently. That respect didn't require overexposure, that you could be powerful by staying true to yourself. Over time, she became a reference point, not a role model, but a compass. She didn't offer a method. She embodied refusal, the refusal to compromise, the refusal to dilute. And in a world built on constant approval, that refusal became an act of courage. Erykah Badu didn't just turn away from the spotlight. She replaced it with a different kind of light, one turned inward, toward healing. Because behind the artist, there's a woman who heals, literally. For years, she's been working as a doula, helping women during home births, guiding their breathing, singing softly, watching over the threshold of life. Artists like Teyana Taylor and Summer Walker have openly said they were supported by her. This isn't a role she plays, it's a mission, a natural extension of her music, which she sees as medicine. In 2020, she launched a line of incense through her platform, Badu World Market. The scent, the materials, the ritual, everything carries her energy. It sold out in days. But once again, it wasn't the sales that mattered. It was the message. She wasn't selling a product. She was transmitting a vibration. Her concerts have also become something else entirely. Spaces for reconnection, ceremonies. People don't just come to hear songs. They come to lay down the noise of the world, to find inner alignment. She speaks of chakras as navigation tools. She doesn't give shows. She opens portals, places where music becomes silence, and silence becomes revelation. And while everyone else is chasing visibility, she takes her time. She follows her cycles. She honors slowness. She returns when it feels right. No strategy, no warning. On June 20th, 2025, no promo, no teaser. she releases a new track, Next to You, produced by The Alchemist. A quiet release, whispered, yet the track spreads like a wave. Those who know her recognize that signature instantly. Soft voice, dreamy atmosphere, raw honesty. The track introduces a new album, Abby and Alan, expected this summer. Her first true studio project in 15 years, but once again, no classic rollout, no countdown, no media blitz, just a frequency released into the air, and those who are tuned in receive it. Meanwhile, she's touring Japan with her Live Ease tour. The reviews are unanimous. These aren't concerts, they're gatherings, communion, thick silences, shared gazes, a presence that suspends time. In August, she'll begin the U.S. leg of the tour in her usual style, free, stripped down, on her terms. In early July, she steps on stage at the Essence Festival, a rare moment, minimal, powerful, few effects, just her voice, her energy. The audience doesn't scream, they listen, almost in meditation. This isn't a show, it's truth, and that's where her choice becomes clear. She was never absent, she was always true to herself. In a world that pushes for more, Erykah Badu reminds us that peace is success, that coherence is power, that absence can be presence. Her legacy isn't measured in numbers or trophies. It lives in the artists she's freed without ever meeting them. Solange, Janelle Monáe, Ari Lennox, No Name, all acknowledge her as a source, a voice that opened the path, a woman who proved you can be whole, complex, spiritual, Black, and refuse the label. She shattered the polished, frozen image of the soul singer. She became something else, a mystic figure, unclassifiable, sometimes sharp, often gentle, always real. She once said, "I am all the women I've been, and none of them." And the audience got it. Maybe not always, but always with respect. She never shouted her message. She embodied it. In her silences, in her absences, in the way she showed up without ever compromising. Today, in 2025, her message has never been clearer. In a world saturated with images, she whispers, and that whisper cuts through screens, through time, through labels. Her story isn't one of ascension, it's one of return. A demonstration that success doesn't have to be loud, that greatness can be bare, silent, aligned. She didn't fight the industry. She made it irrelevant because when you touch the soul, you don't need fame. You become timeless. So, no, Erykah Badu never chased fame. She chose something rarer, something more precious, radical authenticity. And that's why she's still here, present, untouchable. Not because she forced her way in, but because she knew when to say no, while so many said yes out of fear of being forgotten. She's a reminder, a steady frequency, a guide. So now, you, hearing this story, what choice will you make? Will you chase what others expect? Or return to who you really are? Write it in the comments, not for views, not for stats, but for you. I choose to be real, even in a world full of fake. Because sometimes it only takes one voice, one refusal, one silence to change an entire life. And maybe today, that voice is yours.